This is a hardcore solo self-found witch hunter, built around ice, bleed, and wolves only. Act 1 didn't start clean, the damage was shaky, the gear was thin, and one mistake could have ended the run. But a single drop changed everything. This is where the build stops surviving and starts snowballing. We start off by waking up on the beach as a mercenary. We need mercenary to select the witch hunter ascendancy for this build. First off, we go and get our crossbow from the wounded man. We're only going to use the crossbow for the first bit until we get to town. Once we get there, we'll end up switching to a talisman. The first skill gem you get as a mercenary is fragmentation rounds, kind of like a shotgun blast. These will be useful for clearing the packs just in this first tutorial area before we get to our first boss, which happens to be the Bloated Miller. For him, he's pretty easy as long as you dodge his very telegraphed skills. We use our regular crossbow shot for damage on him, building up his stun bar, and when he summons his adds, we switch over to the fragmentation rounds to kind of clear those out a bit. He goes down with not too much difficulty. When he does finally drop, he drops some items that are good for selling, so we can buy a talisman and get this wolf-only part started, as well as a couple orbs of transmutation, which are going to come in handy pretty early on. So once we get into the Clearfell encampment, we're going to talk to Renly. He's going to give us our first skill gem, level 1, as a reward for killing the Bloated Miller. And with that, we're going to look through his shop to see if we can find a talisman. Unfortunately, being hardcore solo self-found, we have no money to start with, so we're going to end up selling some stuff, and the only one we can afford for 33 gold is just a basic normal one. Luckily, we have some orbs of transmutation. We might be able to make something out of it. But it's a start into the wolf-only portion of things. No more crossbow. With our new talisman equipped, we can now use our skill gem level 1. And with that, we're going to choose Lunar Assault as our first ability. Shred is just a basic attack in 5 strokes, with the last one being powerful. And Lunar Assault makes it so you freeze enemies, and those frozen enemies, when they're attacked with Shred, create ice shards which explode. Very useful for some clear. When we open up our passive tree, since projectile damage does nothing for us as a melee character, we're going to go with our evasion and armor first, heading towards our attack speed nodes early, as attack speed is pretty good early on, especially for our abilities. And with that being just about all we can do in Clearfell encampment, we head into Clearfell proper, where we test out our new abilities, basically trying not to die. That's when we stumble across a little camp, which has a chest and gives us another skill gem level 1. Now, I am a sucker for punishment and stated wolf only, so I can't use any of the other elemental ice skills, unfortunately, like Frost Bomb or Ice Nova. That would really help in this. So basically, it is useless for us. Continuing on, I end up leveling up again, which I'm going to put into my first attack speed node. This should help a little bit. We actually get kind of lucky and find 2 blue chests, which have some good armor pieces that we can use just before our fight with Beryl. She's going to be the main boss in this area, and without any armor, she might be a bit of a problem for us. Conveniently, she was actually right below us this whole time, so we start the fight. Our goal is to pretty much freeze her with our Lunar Assault, create a bunch of ice shards with our Shred, and let those explode and do a whole bunch of damage to her. Took a little bit longer than I would have liked, but can definitely see that there is some potential in this combo if we need to get some better items. With that, she drops the Head of the Winter Wolf, which gives us permanent plus 10 cold resistance. That's a nice add. After quickly going back and selling, we end up in the Mud Burrow. Here is where we're going to fight the Devourer. and get a support gem to support our skills from Renly. Let's see how that goes. In this area, we actually end up running into our first league mechanic, which are the Vol Temples. The goal of these is basically kill all of the things, and we will get a beacon. Once we kill 6, we get to go in, make our own temple, and get the rewards from the temple.
Should look out for more.
Continuing on, we end up finding the Devourer's lair without too much trouble. The fight itself with him is a little bit trickier just because he moves around a fair bit. This build kind of works really well with guys that stand still so that all of my ice shards can constantly hit him. We do, however, get through him, and he drops some nice items for selling, so we can make a little bit of money earlier and hopefully upgrade our talisman.
Definitely should have asked for more. Anything take your fancy?
Back in town, we do find one with cold damage. We end up using an orbital augmentation on it, and it doesn't really turn out the way I was hoping, but it is slightly better than the normal one we're using currently.
That'll pack a punch.
We did end up also getting a skill gem level 2, so we're going to upgrade Lunar Assault as it's our main ability to freeze. And with our first support gem, we're going to put rapid attacks onto Lunar Assault. This is going to really help with the damage as we attack faster, and each attack adds more freeze buildup. And just as we're about to enter the Grellwood, we stumble upon a Vol Beacon, which we quickly take out. Nothing really special drops from it, unfortunately, but that's 2 of 6 down. Upon entering the Grellwood, I'm greeted by more wolf boys like myself. These ones are a little bit hostile, but we take care of them pretty easily. We have a few goals here in the Grellwood. We want to find Agatha the Witch to get a support gem. Brambleghast will give us a level 2 skill gem, plus some items. There is the entrance to the Red Veil, the Grim Tangle, and we want to find the Tree of Souls. Get that waypoint. Agatha spawns with a energy shield aura, which is unfortunate, but we take her down pretty easily once we get that freeze on her. Big damage. When we take her down, she actually pretty luckily drops an Iron Ring, a support gem, and a Lesser Iron Rune, which is crazy. With that support gem picked up, we're going to add Bleed to add to our Ice and Bleed portion of the build. My thoughts behind it were, if they're frozen and we're waiting for that damage to pop, they might as well be ticking away with Bleed. A little bit extra never hurt. Since I still attack faster with Shred, I'm going to put it on Shred so that we can get a Bleed tick going while I'm producing ice crystals. With another level up, we're going to pick up more defensive nodes as we head down the tree. We've already got some attack speed, add some more defenses in as we head towards the kind of bleed section of the tree that the mercenary can get to. As we continue our search for our various points of interest, we come across Brambleghast. He's a fairly easy boss for us to take down, kind of stationary, so once we get that freeze on him, our ice shards do quite a bit of work on him.
No mana.
Doesn't really drop too much, but we do need to go back and sell, and that's when we find a Nettle Talisman, which is the next upgrade. And it happens to have 2 rune slots, so we're going to try and augment it and see what we get. So, I mean, didn't roll the best. 3 mana per kill is not great, but we are having a little bit of mana issues, so it's not the worst thing in the world. And then we end up getting flat fire damage on top of that. Flat damage is always good. So we might as well throw our runes on. Since we have that Iron Rune, get a little boost early on. We add that, and we do have a Glacial Rune, which adds flat cold damage. All in all, a bit of a damage boost. So with our new damage boost, we're going to go check out the Red Veil. Here we need to find 3 obelisks, 2 of which are going to spawn adds and drop an item. The third is going to spawn the Rust King, who is going to give us a tier 3 skill gem, which is the next ability for our wolf form. We end up finding our 4th Vol Beacon, which doesn't really give us too much, but we deal with the other obelisks pretty quickly, and now it's time to face off with the Rust King. All in all, can definitely see the damage boost on this boss, although we do almost get killed when we're standing in front of his giant swords he's shooting out. Not the smartest move on my part. With that tier 3 skill gem, we now get wolf minions. With the ability Pounce, it makes it so we jump to a target, creating an AoE slam. That slam marks the targets, and when that target dies, we summon a wolf boy. These wolves are no time limit on them. They just stick with you until they die. So you can summon, I think it is 5 for now, and that goes up with skill gem. With our latest level up, we end up grabbing the ailment chance, as we are inflicting bleed and freeze, which count as ailments. An extra 10% chance is a good thing. When we go back to town to get Renly to forge our iron spikes for the Tree of Souls, we end up finding this Nettle Talisman that has 46% increased fizz damage. We're just going to save that for later. Might need it when we get to the Vol Temple. So once we stab the big tree a few times, we get access to the Grim Tangle.
What happened?
This area is not fun, especially for melee characters, I find. It's very dangerous with that chaos damage in there. And not very far into it, I have holy shit moments, where we almost lose the character. After that scary moment, we end up finding another Vol Beacon, which gives us 4 of the 6 we need. And then we can check out the new league mechanic. Yet again, a couple more scary moments, but we survive and continue our search for the Rotten Druid.
No, tell me that isn't fungus.
Pretty good boss fight, nothing special here. But he did drop a support gem, which is key. With this, we get rapid attacks, but we put it on shred. Now, both of our main skills have rapid attacks, so we can apply our effects more efficiently. And we had a pretty close call when we hit the strong box, and then I'm getting frozen mid-air. It was super awkward. But thankfully we didn't die, and we headed in to fight Draven first. Here we found our 5th Vol Beacon of 6. And in Draven's secret vault, we ended up finding a support gem. With this support gem, we're going to attach Rage to our Lunar Assault, which is going to help us boost our damage for when we get to the shred part from freezing them.
Now, your soul will join my steeple of death.
The fight with Draven was pretty straightforward, kind of just slapping each other back and forth. Should have dodged his main attack there, that one really hurts. And with that, we have 1 key for the gate, move 2. And this is where we get to try out the Vol Temple League mechanic. Before we go in, I make sure to bring any items that I want possible upgrades for, as well as emptying my inventory for anything we might find. I'm gonna be totally honest here, I have no idea what I'm doing when it comes to making these temples, so just kind of winging it, and we're gonna go check out all the rooms. After getting stuck behind a pillar and clearing out all the enemies in the room, taking quite a bit of damage. We end up finding a gem forging station, which gives our skill gem a third socket. Since Lunar Assault is our main damage and freeze, we're going to put that on that skill gem. Once we clear out the next room, we end up finding an alchemy workbench, which is huge because it allows us to turn a normal or magic item into a rare item with 4 modifiers. This is where we started getting some insane luck. Our talisman now has +2 to 7 flat fizz, which is huge, +2 to melee skills, which is also huge. And the others are okay. The 6 life per enemy killed is okay, and the +12 stun duration doesn't hurt. In the next room, we ended up coming across a rare that gave us quite a bit of trouble actually.
Their legacy remains.
But we did end up taking them down. As a reward, we ended up getting a forging workbench, which greatly improved the quality of our item to max, so naturally we chose our newly improved talisman. In the next guardhouse room, we ended up finding a alchemy workbench again. Since we'd already done our talisman, I figured let's throw in our chest piece and see what we get. We ended up walking away with double res and plus armor, which is very nice. Apparently this temple really wanted to give us alchemy workbenches. Again, we get another one in the next room, so I just throw my iron ring in and hopes it'll come up with something good. It's not terrible, but it's not the best that it could have came up with. And that pretty much concludes the first Fall Temple. We end up going back to town to sell what we have and don't need anymore. And while I was there, I checked my stash, which I did end up having an Exalt, which is huge. So we decided to slam that talisman, and we lucked out big time. Not getting the highest amount of fizz possible, but we ended up getting 46%, which is a big upgrade for this early on. This should make the rest of Act 1 a lot easier. Next up is Asinia, so we work our way through her area in search of a chest and a rare that gives us another support gem. Our next level up continues down the ailment chance path. We end up finding another Vol Beacon, which is good to get that started again. We also end up finding the support rare and take him down pretty handily with our new damage. With that support gem, we end up putting on elemental armament onto our lunar assault. Looking back at it now, I think that was maybe not the greatest choice, and there are much better supports that I could have put there. Once we find Asinia, we try and take her down with our new damage. Once we dodge her first round of attacks, it's super simple and we take her down in one combo. Now that we have both keys, we can open the gates for Lachlan, and now we have to end up fighting Lachlan. At the start of this fight, it's always good to stand to the side of him so his first attack doesn't one-shot you. But just like Asinia, we pretty much take him down in one combo. And with Lachlan's ring in hand, we are off to the hunting grounds. Here we come across an Asmiri Wisp, which we follow and kill the rares. A little tip for this area, if you just follow around the outside, you will find all of the points of interest that you need to.
Simple enough.
That were a good hunt.
Next on our list is the Crowbell. And our damage is looking really good. We take him down without any trouble at all. Giving us a book of specialization. This book grants us 2 free skill points. And with this, we end up putting a point into strength for some more health and get into the bleed nodes. The percent chance that we're getting isn't what we're after. We're really after the bleed magnitude. At our next Vol Beacon, we end up getting an amazing drop of an Exalted Orb from the Vol chest. With this, we use it on our Talisman, of course, trying to get a damage boost and end up rolling 1 to 8 lightning damage flat, which is great. Big boost for us. Our next point of interest is a rare monster that drops a support gem. And on top of that, we end up leveling up, getting plus 10% bleed magnitude. Once we find the farmland, we want to search for Una's loot, because she will give us another book of specialization, and that will help give us another 2 skill points. With that skill gem we picked up in the hunting grounds, we equip Fist of War to our Pounce ability. We should have done this a lot sooner. With our new ancestrally boosted Pounce, we make quick work of all the enemies in the area and find Una's loot. With those 2 skill points, we pick up 1 in Bloodletting, which increases our bleed magnitude further. And then start working towards the Necromantic Ward. I think this is a really good node, especially with the Witch Hunter and what we're going to take as our first Ascendancy skill. Before we move on to Ogam Village, we need to go back and get our Spirit ability from the Fraythorn. Here, we need to fight our way through 3 different ritual altars. And finally, on the 4th one, we take on the King of the Mist. Finding these altars is pretty easy. Luckily, they spawned pretty close to each other. The fight with the King of the Mist is pretty straightforward. He does have a few mechanics, but all in all, not too bad once we get that freeze on him. Do take out his effigies whenever you can. And when he goes down, we end up getting a Regal Orb and some other crafting items from the Tribute, as well as a pretty good helmet. So before heading to the village, we end up going back to sell some items, and our Spirit ability being a Ice, Bleed, Wolf only build, we did have a couple options with Herald of Blood or Herald of Ice. So for this run, I chose Herald of Ice as I thought the explosions from the cold might be better. Testing out our new Spirit ability, we started cutting our way through Ogam Village. Shortly into the village, while looking for Renly's tool shop, we get an opportunity to take out our 5th of 6 Val Beacons.
Simple enough.
We find Renly's tools and a couple nice items like a blank rune.
Not a day, not a coin.
And head towards the Courtyard of Death to face off with the Executioner.
No escape. this time.
This is personal.
Not really sure why our guy thinks this is personal, but we're gonna kill him regardless. As soon as we get that freeze on him, he's chunked to 2/3 health. Before we have to get out of the way of some of his abilities. After taking care of some of the ads and getting a quick stun on him, he's pretty easy to finish with just our basic attacks. With the death of the Executioner, latest back in town gives us a level 5 skill gem, unlocking a new ability for us, Arctic Howl. Essentially, when an enemy is almost frozen, we can make them instantly frozen, sending out a shockwave that also empowers all of our minions, being wolves. And with the support gem that was also dropped from the Executioner himself, we're going to end up putting Ice Bite onto our Arctic Howl, just for the extra 25% cold damage when we do freeze an enemy. Now we're off to the Manor Ramparts, where we're looking for yet another support gem from the Gallows.
Out of mana.
While also trying out our new ability, while also looking for the Manor to take on Count Geonor, the Act 1 boss. And this is where we got lucky again. We stumbled across another Vol Beacon. Being our final one, which means we get to run the temple again. Once we take care of the rare that spawned out of the beacon. And with his death, he dropped our next tier of talisman, a familial talisman. Since we have a full inventory, we quickly go back to town before going into the temple, just to sell off a few items that we don't need, as well as upgrading our Lunar Assault further with the level 5 skill gem. This new talisman, when identified, had 63% increased fizz damage, which is an insane candidate going into this temple. There's a good chance we can get an amazing weapon out of this. We use an Orb of Augmentation on it to give it a second modifier and luck out with +2 to melee skills. I cannot believe the amount of luck we're having. Once again, I have zero clue what I'm doing with these temples. I'm just kind of putting things wherever I think they can go. The first room we get to has a gem cutting workbench. So we're going to clear that out, and we're going to upgrade our Pounce ability. Oh, I also forgot to mention that I did pick up Stomping Grounds for a support gem on it as well, as it's a travel ability, and I thought it just might add a little bit extra damage. Before we entered the temple, we did end up regaling that amazing new familial talisman. It gave us accuracy rating and light radius, which is terrible, but hopefully we can still make this into an awesome weapon. Once we cleared this dino room, we ended up getting an Exalted workbench, so we're going to pop that in and see what we can get. Unfortunately, we ended up getting crit, which is not ideal, but there are definitely worse things. In this next room, we end up finding this rare dude again, and a forging bench, which adds a socket into an item. So we're going to put it into that familial one. Even though it's not currently better, there's a chance that it can be, and it is the next tier. This next room is where things really change for us. We end up getting an Exalted workbench and pop in our new familial talisman, which lands 10 to 21 flat fizz. This is a huge upgrade for us. And this temple, for some reason, really likes giving us exalts. So with our final upgrade on that talisman, we ended up landing 51% elemental damage on attacks, which is huge because our Lunar Assault is also doing elemental damage. This is finally our new weapon. Trying it out, we take down this rare monster in the forge room again. Super easy this time. And, of course, we would end up getting another forging workbench that increases quality. So, no brainer, we throw our item in there, and wow, I cannot believe this weapon. Once we were done with the temple, we went back to our stash, and I had an iron rune sitting in there from the blank rune we got from Renly. And gonna put that on our weapon, of course, as well as a mind rune, which adds % damage leached as mana, because we are having some mana issues. I honestly don't think I've ever had a better weapon going into the Act 1 boss. Crazy good luck. So with our new weapon, we start tearing through the manor. Quite literally, pretty much everything is getting 1 or 2 shot. Since we have a lot of damage, I figure we should probably pick up some defensive nodes. And working towards Necromantic Ward, we end up getting a little more life regen, which is super valuable. On our way through the first floor, we stop in to get Candlemass to get his special item that gives plus 20 maximum health. And with this new talisman, we have absolutely no trouble taking him down. And that's when we arrived at the arena for Count Geonor. Before going down there, just did a quick check over everything to see where my stats are, where I'm at. All in all, pretty good spot. And with that, we were ready to take on Count Geonor. I had a pretty good idea about how this fight was going to go.
This interloper has the power we need. Kill him, and you shall have everything I promised.
No noose this time. I'll remove your head myself.
You can bloody well try. Need a sec.
For the first one. Oriana, open the cage. Release the beast.
Human frost. Your pulse quickens. The eternal impure, with bloodlust empowered. Our Esamir endured. Soon all were devoured. In unending war, death waited at the door. Then hour by hour, men fell as solstice of pain. Desolation.
And just like that, with one final freeze, Count Geonor was down, and Act 1 was over. So far, with a little bit of luck, I think this build actually has some serious potential to go far. If you did enjoy the video, make sure to hit that like and subscribe, and I'll see you in Act 2.